Good evening, and you're very welcome back to Around the Grounds here at Finalwhistle.ie on this lovely Saturday evening. We have action, of course, coming from the Women's National League as well as the Men's Premier Division, where the final whistle has just blown, of course, at the showgrounds where Sligo Rovers were in action against St. Patrick's Athletic. Watching the game live for us was Rory Morrow.
Thanks, Diarmuid. Yes, this was a mid-table affair against fourth place against fifth place sides in the Airtricity division, and it was a fantastic match, a really enthralling encounter between the two teams, and it ended 1-1. Two really good goals. Aidan Kearney scored in the first half for Sligo, a really sumptuous effort after an equally sumptuous layoff from David Cawley set him up, and that was against the run of play in the first half as. Up to then, St. Pat's had the better opportunities. Anto Breslin had been causing all kinds of problems with overlapping runs from defence. Joe Redmond had forced the first save from home goalkeeper Alan McGinty with a shot from a corner. Doyle and Forrester were combining. St. Pat's didn't see, no one saw the goal coming, but Aidan Kearney curled it into the top corner with ease. And at halftime, it was 1-0. Will Fitzgerald had a chance to extend the lead just after halftime, but he shot straight at Joseph Anang, and that was to prove costly. As next thing you know, Forrester set Owen Doyle scampering away down the left, and he pinged a cross in that was begging for a touch, and Dara Burns running in at the back stick obliged to tap in, and it was 1-1. And it was just a fantastic game to watch, end to end, countless chances, scrappy at times, lots of fouls. But a really good game, a really good advert for the Airtricity League, and a deserved 1-1 draw for both teams because neither deserved to lose tonight. Full time 1-1.
Perfect, Rory. Thank you for that. Now, of course, as Rory said, it finished 1-1 between Sligo and St. Pat's. We'll take a look at the league table, just the one game, of course, as I said, in the Premier Division this evening. That point for St. Pat's still sees them in fourth place. They are tied level with Dundalk on 25 points, while Sligo remain in fifth place on 21, of course, 4 points behind both Dundalk and St. Patrick's Athletic. We'll look at the goal scoring statistics as well. From the Premier Division, Jamie McGonigal of Derry City remains the top goal scorer in the division on 9 points, or 9 goals, should I say, while his teammate Will Patching is on 7, tied with Patrick Cuban and Aidan Kearney. Of course, Kearney scoring for Sligo Rovers this evening. Owen Doyle getting with 5 goals to his name this season as well, but Dara Burns, the other goal scorer in that tie, with 4 for him so far this season. And looking at the goalkeeping statistics, unfortunately, no clean sheets this evening for both Joseph Anang and Ed McGinty, respectively, this evening. But Ed McGinty will remain on 3 clean sheets for the season, while Anang tops the league on 8 so far. So that concludes our action, of course, from the Premier Division, but we'll move towards the Women's National League. Earlier on today, of course, we had action starting with the game at DLR, at the UCD Bowl, should I say, where DLR Waves were in action at 4 o'clock. Watching the game for us was Jack Joy.
It was DLR Waves 3, Sligo Rovers 2 at Belfield today. A late Kate Mooney header sealing the win for DLR after what was a tough, challenging game for them. DLR lost Sarah McKevitt fairly early through an injury early on, and things only got worse for them as they conceded the first goal soon after. Sligo winger Gemma McGuinness used her pace to get to a ball which was cleared from the Sligo backline and was put expertly through the two DLR centre halves. McGuinness got there first, and she sent the ball past Ibadana in the DLR goal to open scoring and send Sligo up 1-0. From that point on, DLR really controlled the game and they pushed for a goal, but they just couldn't get one on target until the 38th minute when Sophie Waters made the breakthrough. She got onto the end of a cross and powered home a header to see her side going equal at the break. DLR really continued the momentum after the half time, and Avril Brearley got the ball in the box soon after the break, and she was able to shoot home to send DLR ahead 2-1 in the 49th minute, I believe. From that point on, it looked like DLR were going to dominate. Looked like they were going to go on and score more and take the win. But against the run of play, Sligo countered. They won a corner, and Gemma McGuinness's corner fell to Emma Doherty in the DLR box, and Doherty used some clever footwork to shoot in to goal to bring Sligo equal totally against the run of play. But after that, things kind of opened up. It was intense stuff. Amy Mahon was very impressive in the Sligo goal, replacing the injured Kirsten Semple today for Sligo, and she made a couple of vital saves in that time period after Sligo scored the second to keep them within the game. And Sligo used the counter-attack to their advantage. They had two big chances, one from Emma Doherty, who hit the crossbar. It came down from the crossbar. It looked like it was over the line, but it wasn't. And Paula McRory followed up, and she blazed her effort wide. McRory had another opportunity soon after that, but she went narrowly wide of the left post with her effort, and it stayed 2-2. And ultimately, DLR were just more clinical. They won a corner in the final 10 minutes, and Kate Mooney, the substitute, she timed her run perfectly into the box. And as the corner was delivered into the box, she was the tallest, and she headed home to bring DLR ahead once again, 3-2, and that's how it finished. Gemma McGuinness had a late chance, but she shot right at the DLR keeper, Eve Badana, who made a good save, and it ended at the UCTD Bowl, DLR Waves 3, Sligo Rovers 2.
And a big thanks to Jack, of course, for sending us in that report earlier on today. Now, while Rory might have been watching the game that kicked off at 7:45 this evening, he was paying close attention to the action at PRL Park, where Peamount United were in action against the surprise package in the division this season in Athlone Town. We'll find out now just how that action went as Rory will bring you this report.
In the WNL tonight, Peamount United played host to Athlone Town in the early kickoff, and Athlone Town emerged 1-0 winners courtesy of Emily Corbett's 9th goal of the season in the 21st minute, and this went against the run of play in the first half. Despite this, Athlone had come into the match with better momentum. They had 4 consecutive wins, aiming to make that 5 ahead of the game. But Peamount, reeling from last week's 1-0 loss to Shelbourne at the top of the table, started strongly. Tara O'Hanlon posing a particular threat with her set piece deliveries. Stephanie Roach, Anya O'Gorman all went close before Corbett, when played in by Maria Devaney in the 21st minute, slotted into the net for a 9th of the season, and that was a decisive goal in the first half. After half time, Corbett's and strike partner Gillian Keenan's threat on the counter-attack became more and more prominent. They had 2 one-on-ones each within 2 minutes that both shots sailed wide, and those misses could have proved costly as Peamount huffed and puffed. Siobhan Doyle drew a save from visiting keeper Niamh Coombs, and Lauren O'Callaghan had a header that nearly went in but was just cleared off the line in the 89th minute. Despite these scares, though, Athlone saw the game out with professionalism and deserved to take the 3 points with a gritty and resilient performance. It moves them level on points with Peamount United, and with 5 wins in the bounce and Peamount 2 losses in a row, the momentum has undoubtedly shifted to Athlone Town in the WNL.
And thanks to Rory, of course, for sending us that in earlier on today. Now at Dalymount Park, Bohemians were in action against Shelbourne. Of course, Shelbourne looking to continue their position as the league leaders, looking for another big 3 points. Reporting live from Dalymount Park earlier today was Sean Crosby.
Yes, well, it's the defending champion to take all 3 points here in this North Dublin derby, finishing Bohemians 0, Shelbourne 3. A second half display from Shelbourne where they really just showed their class and began to pull away from Bohemians, but it didn't quite start like that. It was a fairly quiet opening 10 minutes, fairly even contest, mainly being played in the middle of the park, and you'd have to say Bohemians did look slightly better, and they had the game's first opportunity, Lisa Murphy hitting the post.
Seems like we just had a slight technical hiccup there with Sean Crosby's report. coming from Dalymount Park earlier on today. But instead, we will cross to another game that Jack Joy was watching, the game between Galway and Treaty United. We'll try and get back to Sean Crosby's report in the meantime. But for now, Jack Joy will bring you this report from the game between Galway United and Treaty United.
It was Galway 3, Treaty United 0 at Eamon Dacey Park this evening. Galway were very much the deserved winners, while Treaty felt their 10th consecutive defeat of the season. They are still, of course, without a point in this year's division. They have, on so many occasions this year, conceded early, and they did that again tonight. They trailed by the 7th minute. Ex-Treaty player Jenna Slattery got in goal with a fantastic strike, and she put Galway 1-0 up. Slattery, of course, scored 10 goals for Treaty last year, and they could have again done with her threat going forward, as they offered very little, and it was all Galway pushing forward the whole time. Slattery had another chance to double her tally in the 22nd minute after Treaty gave away a penalty after a handball in the box. She hit a powerful effort, left the goal, but it hit the left post, and although she finished the rebound, the referee awarded a free out, and she left that opportunity behind her. The game was fairly fiery, a lot of physical challenges, especially in the first half, but it maybe went too far. At one stage, Emma Starr had an effort on goal, a lobbed effort, and she looked to have scored Galway's second goal just before the half-hour mark, but she was deemed to have brought Treaty fullback Amy Madden down, and Amy Madden actually stayed down, and she received medical attention for the bones of 15 minutes, and she was eventually stretchered off the field of play, and Alex Mendez replaced her. Galway continued to push for another goal after that, and despite having several chances to do so, they failed to, and they went in just one goal up at half time. They continued to push in the second half though, and within a minute they had their second goal. Shauna Brennan found herself in plenty of spaces. The Treaty defence really just appeared still turned off after half time. She was in plenty of space, and she could bury her goal from the left into the right corner, and she sent Galway 2-0 ahead in the 45th minute. Treaty, after that, they had a lot of possession, probably a lot more possession than I've seen them have in a lot of their games previous to this, as Galway were content to kind of sit back and counter, but they couldn't make anything of it. They won a lot of set pieces in the Galway area, but most of them came to nothing, and they just didn't really pose a threat to Galway. They gave away another penalty just before the 80th minute, and Slattery again stepped up, and this time she made no mistake. She hit her effort into the right, and she sent Galway 3-0 up, as it would remain. It was Galway 3, Treaty United 0 at Eamon Dacey Park.
And thanks to Jack, of course, for keeping an eye on things down at Eamon DC Park as well. Now, I think the mechanical bugs have been sorted, so we should be able to cross back to Sean Crosby's report earlier on today from Dalymount Park.
Yes, well, it's the defending champions to take all 3 points here in this North Dublin derby, finishing Bohemians 0, Shelburne 3. Second half display from Shelburne, where they really just showed their class and began to pull away from Bohemians, but it didn't quite start like that. It was a fairly quiet opening 10 minutes, fairly even contest, mainly being played in the middle of the park, and you'd have to say Bohemians did look slightly better, and they had the game's first opportunity, Lisa Murphy hitting the post from a free kick after just 12 minutes, but after about the 20-minute mark is when Shelburne really began to start to put some nice moves together. Rachel Kelly inside the goal, in the Bohemians goal, was forced into a save on 25 minutes to deny Saoirse Noonan from close range header, but a few minutes later there was absolutely nothing Kelly could do to deny Saoirse Noonan, who flicked in a volley at the near post outside of the boot into the top corner on the end of a Noel Murray cross to make it 1-0 to Shelburne. Shelburne had a chance to double the lead before the break. Pearl Slattery coming closest 10 minutes before half time. Akiva Keenan's effort was clear off the line. It fell out to the Shelburne skipper, but she failed to find the targets just inside the 6-yard box. Bohemians did have a nice little flurry towards the end of the first half. Erica Burke forcing a nice save from Amanda Budden in the Shelburne goal, but Bohemians failed to really produce anything else. And the second half, Shelburne had really all the chances early on. Jessica Zhu, 5 minutes in to the second half, smacking the crossbar from close range, and then just before the hour mark, Zhu was able to redeem herself. when she made it 2-0, this time coming from a throw-in from Kiva Keenan that somehow managed to bounce and go over the Bohemians defenders and find its way into the 6-yard box, where Jessica Zhu completely unmarked and just an easy tap in from her. And the third and final goal would come with 25 minutes to go. A nice move let Jess Gaggan down the right hand side. She clipped the ball into the box to find Noelle Murray, one touch, and then smashing the ball home to make it 3-0 to Shelburne, and a huge 3 points for Noel King's side. Those 3 points helping them extend their lead at the top of the table, and they're back in action next week, back at home when they face DLR Waves. Meanwhile, Bohemians have to pick themselves up. They are away next weekend to Galway United. So it finishes here at Damer. Bohemians 0, Shelburne 3.
And thanks to Sean as well for sending us that report in earlier on today from Dalymount Park. Now, the final action from the Women's National League took place at 7 o'clock this evening at Turner's Cross, with Cork City in action against Wexford Youths. Of course, Wexford looking to continue a possible title challenge. They're sitting in third place before kickoff, while Cork City were down in 9th place. Reporting from Turner's Cross was Sam Curtin.
It's full time here at Turner's Cross this evening, and it is Wexford Youths who have overcome a battling Cork City here in a very, very entertaining clash in the Women's National League. There was a clear bounce really from City, with new manager Jess Lawton at the helm. Early on, as to be said, like their shape was a lot clearer than it has been in recent games, and their passing, their touch was a lot sharper as well. A really, really good start from the hosts, which was reflected in the first chance of the game, which came through Ava Mangan on 9 minutes when she jinxed past the Wexford defence before a shot flying just over the bar of Maeve Williams. Wexford all grew into the game and they showed their quality in the second quarter, and their best chance in the first half came through Kylie Murphy, who managed to get in behind the Cork defence. Abby McCarthy, though, just about managed to pull off a great save really, and just before she managed to pull the trigger to keep the sides level. From there, well, Orla DC was probably City's first or best player, it has to be said, in the first half. She was fantastic from right back. Her tackling, her blocking was really, really good, and impressive performance from the youngster. The best chance, well, she provided it for City in the first half. She fed Nadine Seward, but her shot was kept out by Wexford keeper Maeve Williams. Again, a really, really good effort, but an equally good save. That's as close as either side got really in the first half. It went in delicately poised at the break at 0-0, but the visitors started the second half much better, really upping the tempo in the game. They really could not afford to drop points if they want to have any hope of winning the title this season. And a moment of magic came from an Irish international on 54 minutes. Ellen Malloy showed why she is indeed at that level with a spectacular free kick from 30 yards out. But the goal, in fairness, failed to deter Cork's hopes, and they had their own moment of magic on 64 minutes. This time through Becky Casson, who hit a fantastic shot first time on the bounce, leaving Williams no chance in the Wexford goal to level the game at 1-1. Wexford, however, to their credit, regained the ascendancy in the aftermath, and their pressure was rewarded on 71 minutes when Emma Walker headed in a powerful shot from a really, really well worked move down the right hand side, which beat Abby McCarthy at her near post to make it 2-1, and that was the difference in the end for Wexford as they keep the pressure on Shelburne. Obviously a very good result as well for them in the other game, with their other title rivals Peamount United dropping points to Athlone Town this evening as well. So it finished full time here at Turner's Cross. Cork City 1, Wexford Youths 2.
And a big thanks to Sam, of course, for sending us that in after the game finished this evening. Now we'll look at the league tables and results from the Women's National League today. Starting with the results, DLR Waves with a 3-2 win over Sligo Rovers. Peamount United suffering a defeat to Athlone Town 1-0 at PRL Park. Shelburne continuing their challenge at the top of the table with a 3-0 win over Bohemians. Galway were also 3-0 winners, coming clutch against Treaty United, while Cork City suffered a 2-1 defeat to Wexford Youths there, as Sam has just mentioned. Looking at the league table, of course, Shelburne remain top of the league, but Wexford Youths are up into second place on 22 points following their win today. Peamount going down into third, with Athlone in fourth. And if you look at the bottom of the table, you can see from sixth place, where Galway Women's FC are currently placed on 17 points. There's a massive gap between them and the chasing pack in Bohemians, Sligo, Cork and Treaty United. Now we'll look at the statistics coming from the Women's National League as well, starting with the goal scorers. Emily Corbett managing to get a goal today, her 8th goal of the season, seeing her tied with Anya O'Gorman at the top of the table. Top of the goal scoring table, should I say. Ella Malloy with 7 as well, while Noel Murray and Jessie Stapleton are on 4 apiece for Shelburne. Definitely a wide variety of scores coming from Shells so far this season. Shauna Brennan, Jenna Slattery, Becky Casson and Saoirse Noonan have also got their 3rd goals of the season respectively after the action today. And looking at the goalkeeping statistics as well, we'll look at the clean sheet stats momentarily. And it's Amanda Budden who continues to be the top performing goalkeeper in the league so far, with 7 clean sheets, managing to pick up another one today. Niamh Coombs, of course, getting her 4th clean sheet of the season today, while Abigail Ronayne, of course, getting a 3rd clean sheet today as well. Of course, she was a guest on the Women's National League podcast earlier on in the week. A good luck charm for her today as she managed to keep her 3rd clean sheet of the season. And we'll look ahead now, of course, and look at the action that's coming shortly. But before we do that, there was one more game that was down for decision today. That was the Intermediate Cup final that took place at Turner's Cross, with Rockmount AFC taking on Bluebell United. Watching the game earlier on today was Sam Curtin.
Yes, well, it's full time here at Turner's Cross, and it is Rockmount who have been crowned the FAI Intermediate Cup champions for 2022. Unsurprisingly, they had the majority of the support here at Turner's Cross this evening. A large crowd coming out for what was a really great occasion. Great weather for it as well. A perfect cup final atmosphere. And the game matches, especially early on, very, very cagey. Both sides feeling each other out. But Rockmount could have had a goal on 6 minutes. Niall Hanley, the striker for the Cork side, thought he had the ball in the Bluebell net, but his shot hit the side netting. Continued to be very, very cagey half, really not too many chances, although both goalkeepers were called into action on a couple of occasions from a few set pieces, which were really what both sides were relying on in the first 45 minutes. Now in the second half, though, it was really a drama-filled game, as Madanovic, the Bluebell goalkeeper, was called into action on 52 minutes. He dragged down Rockmount player Owen Murphy in the box to concede a penalty. Murphy duly dispatched it to put the Cork side ahead on 54 minutes to make it 1-0 to Rockmount. They could have had a goal then just moments later. Again, Luke Casey made a great run-through, straight through on goal. But Madanovic on this occasion making a great save to keep Bluebell just a goal behind. But Rockmount did get their goal on 66 minutes. This time it was the other Murphy, Cian Murphy, on this occasion. A really, really good header into the roof of the net from Wellwood's corner to give the Cork side a 2-goal lead. And from there, really they did manage to see the game out. Bluebell did have a few chances late on in the game. Substitute Jamie Kelly having one of the better chances for the Dublin outfit. But really, it was a famous day for Rockmount. They saw the game out 2-0. It finished here at Turner's Cross, and Rockmount sealed their first FAI Intermediate Cup title since 2008.
And a big thanks, of course, to Sam for sending us that report in earlier on today. Big 2-0 win, of course, for Rockmount, and apologies for any audio issues that came through there from Sam's report. But it was the two Murphys, Owen and Cian, who came in to get the 2 goals for Rockmount to seal their win today in the FAI Intermediate Cup. And we'll look at fixtures coming up momentarily, looking ahead, starting, of course, on Thursday, where UCD take on Shamrock Rovers in the Premier Division. That game kicking off at 7:45. And then on Friday, we have more games, of course, coming from the division. Bohemians taking on Sligo Rovers, Derry City taking on Dundalk, Drogheda United taking on Finn Harps, and St. Patrick's Athletic taking on Shelburne. Into the First Division, just the one game coming for you on Monday evening as Treaty United take on Longford Town. A promotion battle there, of course, between two teams who are looking to keep their spots in the promotion places and potentially get promoted into the Premier Division. And on Friday, Cork City take on Wexford, Galway take on Athlone Town. Treaty are back in action taking on Cove Ramblers in a Munster derby. Just 3 games coming to you next Friday. And we'll look at the Women's National League fixtures as well for next Saturday. Shelbourne and DLR Waves, of course, a big title clash in that one, and Sligo Rovers taking on Cork City. Both games kicking off at 2 p.m. Wexford take on Peamount United. Galway Women's FC take on Bohemians, and Athlone Town take on Treaty United, with all of those games kicking off at 6 p.m. Now, that concludes all of our action, of course, from today's round of fixtures in both the Women's National League, the Men's Premier Division, and the Intermediate FAI Cup game as well. All of those reports will be available on the Finalwhistle.ie website, as we will have action as well from the GA landscape as well today, and of course tomorrow as well. We'll be back for Around the Grounds on Monday night for the game between Treaty and Longford, and we'll be back again next Friday and next Saturday for the Women's National League action as well. Hope you have had a lovely, warm and sunny Saturday. Tomorrow is going to be another cracker of a day weather-wise, so hopefully you can get out and about and enjoy the sunshine. But until we meet again for Around the Grounds, have a lovely rest of your weekend, and goodbye.